we have another theist on the line, so I'm going to bring Mr. Yummy from Canada, saying wants to say God is just, all his judgments are good. Hi, Mr. Yummy.
Yeah, how you guys doing?
Doing pretty good.
Good.
Yeah, just before we begin, I have two statements, quick statements. Number one, so all these quote-unquote Christians, if you're not solid in your faith, there's no reason to call because you're giving them footage. You're making us look bad, number one. And number two, I think the guy was saying the definition of faith is a predication, is the evidence. Not the
Wait. Yummy. Are you talking about what you said you're going to talk about? Like you said, are you talking
he said
about
he's going to start with two completely random statements that he wanted to start with.
No.
One of which is gatekeeping and the no true Scotsman fallacy, and then the second one was that faith is the evidence you need, and we've already covered that. Faith is not evidence. So, can we start with what do you mean by just and what do you mean by good? In your statement that wants to say God is just and all his judgments are good. So define just and define good for us, please.
Yeah. Before I do that, just to clarify, number one, there's no such thing of a no true Scotsman fallacy when you're doing an internal critique.
Okay, I'm gonna miss it, Yummy. I'm gonna mute you. Can we talk about, like you told our call screeners that you want to talk about why God is just?
Let's get back to that. I don't really care about the first two statements. They're completely useless. Can you please define justice, what you mean by justice and what you mean by good?
Yes, let's talk about what you told us you want to talk about. And if we have time, we could get back to those other topics. But God is just, that's your claim. So go on with that. Explain.
Okay, so thank you for unmuting me. All I wanted to do is correct the false claims made by the last guy, but no problem. You guys don't want to do that. So we can move on to the justice part. Yeah, we can go to the justice part. So a God, when I say just, I mean God, number one, is sovereign because he is God, number one. And number two, everything that he does is morally acceptable because, number one, he's God and everything he does is good. So I heard you guys arguing.
So God killing the entire planet is good. That's what you're saying.
God, when you talk about Genesis 6, when he killed all the Nephilim, genetically modified people?
So first, now you're making a bunch more claims. I just said when God killed everybody in the world, and I was actually talking about the flood. So when God killed everybody, that was good. God killing everybody is good. That's what you're saying.
That's not what I said. I said him killing genetically modified people, Nephilim, as per that chapter, yes, that's good.
That's not, no, he killed the entire world. He flooded the entire world, killed everybody but Noah and his family.
Babies. When he drowned babies, okay.
There weren't babies because I just said there were Nephilim, genetically modified. Only.
So now you got a whole bunch more claims. You got a whole bunch more claims that you've got to prove.
I'm doing an internal critique, buddy. You're supposed to accept it.
No, I don't have to accept it.
I think it's,
you need much more stuff. No. So let me give you a definition of good that actually kind of,
Okay.
So my definition of good is anything that promotes human happiness and across the entire population, not just for an individual. Killing people does not promote happiness. It just can't. It creates entirely too many negative feelings for those who survive. The survivor's guilt from the flood is just really, really bad. This would create such incredible amounts of PTSD that they might very well have been paralyzed if it had actually happened. But since we know the flood didn't happen, it doesn't really matter. But this is the problem that you're going to have with you trying to actually say that God is good just because God did it. Because all of a sudden now you're justifying all kinds of things. You're justifying God's support of slavery. Slavery is not a good thing. It does not promote human happiness across the entire population. Him setting up, if you want to claim he's the omni-God and he's got all the omni traits, then God created the world just to kill his son. That's not good. God playing with Abraham is also not good. That's not a good thing to do. That's a really, really horrible way to treat a friend or somebody you know. All these things are just really, really bad and make your God a moral monster. Now, the only defense that you have is your claim that God is good. And I can see nothing where that claim is true. not in anything that he's done. He is a moral monster by the standard of promoting human happiness, or you can even say human well-being. I'm okay with that too. But with that as my standard for good, I can judge your God, and he is not just, he is not good. He does not do anything to promote human happiness and well-being.
Mr. Yami, I have a question. How do you define good? Can you tell me how do you define good?
Anything God does. That's his definition of good. Am I right?
Is that your definition?
Am I on mute? I'm still on mute.
Yeah, no, you're not. No, you're not. Can you?
I was on mute when this guy went on a rant, making a whole bunch of false claims. So can I address the false claims?
You were not.
Everything he said is a lie.
You weren't on mute.
That is true.
Answer my question. Mr. Yami, answer my question before I drop you, okay? If you don't answer my question, I'm going to drop you.
Okay, so you guys want to have a monologue, have a monologue. I'm done with you guys. All right, thanks.
I'm asking you. Okay, go. Okay.
Yeah, so that was not Yami.
You know what? Yeah. I mean,
his definition
was this guy a troll?
No. His definition of God is that everything God does is good because God is omnibenevolent. And so if God decides to kill the entire human race, he gets to do that. His claim about Nephilim I've heard before, and everybody who makes that claim just has a hard time actually trying to prove that. There's a whole bunch of problems with that, especially if you go back. Anyway, yeah. No, he was not a troll. There are people actually who believe exactly what he says. So, you know.
I mean, it tells a lot about you if we can't tell you if you're serious, but we can't tell that you're a troll or not. That tells us a lot about your conversation. Also, it's not a monologue when I'm asking you a question. I have a question and I want you to answer. Like, if you guys want to have a monologue, how is this a monologue? I'm asking you a question. I'm waiting
you're talking about my rant.
Answer me.
That was a monologue. Because I didn't give him a chance to respond to any of that. And quite frankly, there is no response because I started with what I defined good as and then pointed out how none of those things are actually good. Now, his counterclaim is that God did them, so therefore they're good. And I completely disagree with that as my standard. I don't think taking God as my standard of good and God's actions as my standard of good is a good way to live my life at all. I don't think it's good to do any of that, so...
Right. Yeah. Okay. I mean, he could have. I still think you didn't do a monologue because he was going to be here to be able to respond to all of that. Like, I was going to give him a chance to first answer, because I think before we discuss this, we have to understand. Like you did this, Jim, at the beginning. You wanted him to define his words. I mean, I don't think we could have a productive conversation if we don't know what we're talking about. So I was going to make him define what he means by good, and then he could have responded to me.
No, he did define it. Yes.
His definition is like circular, though. It's circular. Like
anything God does is good. Anything God does is just. That's his definition.
Okay, but then to prove, but that's circular. Like you're saying, whatever God does is good.
I didn't say it was a good one.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't say it was a good one.
Okay.
I just said that was his explanation, and that was his definition. And yeah, it's not good, right? It's a divine command theory. If you're looking for the moral system, it's called divine command theory, and it's got serious flaws. Right. So, you know,